So I think health, mental and physical, is very important to keep you clear on what is really happening. Because, see, they have people, as a young person, I was part of like a brain drain. You know, at 20 years old, I was working at Stanford Research doing their ionospheric research on their bomb blasts in the Pacific. And I've done the kind of, Mount Diablo atomic energy plant, radio telecommunications for Lenker, all kinds of stuff I've done in Silicon Valley. So I know they have people in little clusters doing stuff all the time. And they don't use old people. I was young. I was in my 20s. So I know they're still doing that. Like my grandson now, he works for Xfinity, But on the weekends, you know what he is? He's a gamer. One of those Macker people. And he's one of the 8th in this Northern California region already. He's going to nationals next month. And so you know what kind of stuff they dealing with, really. Because all that stuff is war. You have to shoot this one out and get this one and get ahead of it. I mean, it's strategy. All those games. And they get these young people and they working their stuff and they making more plans for them. Although you're playing a game, it's not really a game. But they have everyone in tune. My 5-year-old can work a telephone, find anything she wants to find. A tablet, the remote. We can be watching something and all our stuff flips off and on comes Sid the Science Kid or something. She's got everything programmed the way she wants it. Oh, Grandma, just push that button or just do this or she's 5. So they're coming out now with this knowledge. I mean, being born, knowing stuff. So just think where they're going to be in 20 years.
And when you think back on, that idea of preparing the young people to do and use what they know, and you reflect on your journey, and the different ways that maybe Tai Chi and your priesthood and your educational experience and your political experience, what do you see as the strategy and the vision for us going forward to be stronger and better?
Well, for me, it's exchange, interaction. After I went to Nigeria the first time in 72, I came back and I was just trying to get the artists over here. Show people how to batik and tie-dye and sing and dance and do all that stuff, right? I think, because it's so hard, people will tell you how many people I've brought to America or tried to get here in terms of visas. But it's easier for us to go there. And that's what my new business is about, setting up hostels, H-O-S-T-E-L-S, for young people, because that's how my children have learned, by going to different countries. And even if it's not a long time there, the stuff they're introduced to, they do not forget. Kemi was, 5 or so when we went in the 90s. And she sang, they taught her all the songs and dance and all the Orisha stuff, and she can just spit out stuff now, And she doesn't forget that stuff. Someone will say, do Shango, and, and she starts singing and dancing, and because she learned it when she was young. And so now I'm wanting to do bed and breakfast and youth hostels in Nigeria and in Brazil. Because during the Orisha Congress, I've been to Brazil twice now, and on my own for that 1 year in Salvador. It's just important that they see how other people live, see how it is almost exact the same as how we live as Black people in America. But there's something that's more relaxing doing it in Nigeria, doing it in Brazil, that you can't. We're fighting if you want to get a class here, for our children. How long has Ile Omonde been fighting being the only Black school in Oakland? We did all the Black schools here. First Black one was with, what was his name? Oh, God. Weldon Stroud. We had an old church in San Francisco, and it was one of the first African-American Black schools, that my children went to. Obadashaka had Unity House. The other children went to that. As the other ones, small ones, got bigger, whatever was happening in black, that's where they went, because that's all we could get. But when my children get to junior high school age, I don't care what's going on, you're getting out of here. Because that's where they really kind of attack those children, is at junior high. And I cannot control it because the hormones are jumping, everything is happening. Go to Africa. Whatever you do is okay. I just let them loose. Go to the bush. Go do this. Go. And they run. My kids used to know Showboat could be anywhere, right? Because the other ones knew Ife, because that was their age group. I was in Ife when the older ones were in teenage, and then I was in a Showboat. So I want to set up schools, not so much even schools, but it would be schools, or just centers where we can drop a few 20 kids at a time and let them interact for 6 weeks or so, and they will make friends that they will keep forever too, So I think setting up that's why I wrote the book too. I said, I can't go on the corner anymore. I'm too old to be on the corner, but how can I sell me? I said, well, I can write me down, and then I can take that money and build the schools. So that's what I'm about. Health, education for our children, just leaving a legacy that they know we came through. Because by the time my children got to UC Berkeley, whom we'd already done 20 years before, right? No one knew that they had been on the land in Mississippi, No one knew about this. My son, Ma, they don't know about this. They don't. I said, well, you lived it. So we need to keep that, even as an example to other people. Write down about your families. Let your children know where they came from. So there's a lot of things that people can learn from just reading a book. Like, look how many black men were playing golf in those days. No one would think about that because black people are just now getting into golf. But here there's 20, 30, 40 people, and that's not all the black people who was playing. So there's just so much information that we can give to each other, I think will lift us up.